So starting off with the digital economy, what is your interpretation and how is it looking like in Sri Lanka?
Digital adoption is happening across the sectors. It can be agriculture, healthcare, education, all those areas. But that digital economy will definitely play a major role of that transition. You will be able to take your product or solution, whatever, to the region, country, to the Asia, even to the world.
The digital economy, what is it? And what does it look like in Sri Lanka? That's the topic of our discussion today. And we will be talking with the Strategic Advisor and Vice President of Huawei Technologies Lanka, Indika De Zoysa. Stay tuned.
Some bonds give more returns, get more security and more interest on your fixed deposits from Sri Lanka's largest finance company, LMDtv Finance.
Hello and welcome to LMDtv. Tonight on the forum, the topic of discussion is the digital economy. And with us we have the Strategic Advisor and Vice President of Huawei Technologies Lanka, Indika De Zoysa. Thank you for being part of our show and accepting our invitation today.
Thank you for having me.
So starting off with the digital economy, different people have different interpretations of that word. So to start off our discussion, I would like to ask you, what is your interpretation, number one, and how is it looking like in Sri Lanka?
Okay, so this digital economy word has become a buzzword right across the world, even for us in Sri Lanka as well. What this really means is, say, even if you take me or you as a journalist or me as somebody working in the industry, how our life is getting changed or the way we work, what we do using technology. So best example is, we take the latest, we had fuel queues for petrol, diesel for so many months. All of us stayed in these queues for a couple of weeks, days, whatever. But what it changed was not giving extra petrol or diesel, the QR code. Introduction of the QR code, you had queues on Sunday. When you go to the shed on Monday, there were no petrol. Only change was the QR code. So that's the technology was bought in and that problem was solved. So in a very layman's term, that will be a very easy example to say how technology or digital will change the lives of people where they work through that. So also we experienced during the COVID time that, like, kids studies using online, people work from home, we ordered our food, everything whatnot online. If that digital platforms were not available, I don't know how would have got our food, how would have kids studied. It's a different ball game. So that's how the digital is changed in the world, how it works and how people do things. Now, from a very strategic point of view, digital adoption is happening across the sectors. It can be agriculture, healthcare, education, all those areas. Now, modern world measures the contribution from a digital adoption point of view, which is we call it the digital economy, and what is the contribution for the national economy. Now, which is globally, the growth of the digital economy as a percentage is overtaken the growth of the traditional economy. With that, the mature markets are crossing now 50% or in that range, the contribution from a digital economy to the national economy. The global average is about 20 to 25%. Even the low income countries are crossing 15% or so. We have a big challenge. The latest data what we have or the research we have, it is indicates the only about 5% is the contribution from a digital economy to the national economy point of view. Now, if you take a step back and think through, you will figure out, okay, we are talking about a economic crisis or downturn, etc. Now, when you're looking at the numbers of mature markets or even developing countries, we are far behind. So that contribution itself, growth of the digital economy in our country, will be able to solve a bigger problem, which is the national economy challenge we have. Yes, we need dollars, all that fine, but that digital economy will definitely play a major role of that transition. So that is possibly on a simple way of explaining that and answer your question.
Thank you, Indika. So looking at the mature markets and us, which sectors of the digital economy, I mean, if it's just 5% for us right now, what are the contributors to that digital economy? Is it education or is it something else?
It's right across. I mean, you can't define like, this is the pillar it should be. Say I will take one example. To our national economy, one of the biggest contributors are the SME sector. That's about 52% or so. So we have over 1 million of SMEs. These SMEs are still on the traditional mode. We have the pen and the book, and the family does it, and even sometimes the owner doesn't know what is the inventory carrying, whatever not. There are a lot of challenges. But when you're looking at these SMEs getting into the digital world, will definitely do a big transformation. Now, when you go down south or any place, we have all these boutique hotels. If there were no these online platforms available, none of these boutique hotels would have not got business. Because traditional way was you have big travel operators, they get tourists and they will send into all these bigger chains and the 5 stars, etc. But now you have this model of homestay, you have boutique hotels and so many other things. So digital platforms made it possible. Look at how the tourism industry got transformed and the value addition these countries or these businesses are getting. Or in fact for the online platforms what we have ordering of food, how that got transformed. You don't have to have a restaurant in a very prominent place anymore. It can be at your home, remote location, at a lower cost place where your kitchen can be. But you can cater to the entire country or entire region or where the city you are part of, right? So now looking at these SMEs also digital will be the way that you will be able to take your product or solution, whatever, to the region, to the country, to the Asia, even to the world. Somebody can be in Mayangana or one of those rural cities, can have a product, can be sold in New York or Australia or London, wherever.
Of course.
It's a click and the payment comes. So that digital platforms enable. So it's right across. Again, we take examples like education, how digital will transform. Now, our case, we have for a year, about 350,000 kids get into the school system. Now, out of that, about 20 to 30,000 gets off at grade 8, grade 9 due to poverty issues and other things. But 150 kids doesn't go above O levels, they drop off. So 200,000 roughly plus minus will go to the A level. State universities and non-state universities can only take 80,000 kids. So you have out of a pool of 350,000, only 80,000 goes for higher education, right? So now if you think, okay, can we need to build universities for balanced students? It's not possible. Now this is where you can bring digital in, how you can have blended learning, online learning, etc. How kids can learning using these tools. I mean, this is very on a basic level, but digital can go much deeper in education, which is AI and everything is coming into the equation. That entire education mode will get transformed. Probably I'll take one more example. I mean, we are being agricultural nation, right? So how technology can be used for agriculture? Basic things like, spraying your fertilizer using drones, or identifying diseases using drones and taking pictures and analyzing it through AI, etc. Or how do you looking at the soil conditions, etc., using tools like IoT and all that. So your decision making can be done, and also identifying the crop management. So there are many things you can do, which is you will be able to increase your productivity, reduce wastage, reduce what you're using for fertilizer, whatever not. All that can be managed. So that is the value addition you bring in using digital. It's not about like, you're using digital and say buying computers or anything. It's transforming the way you work, what you do, your industry. It can be manufacturing, SME, as I said, education, agriculture, across. So that is where the value addition will come. You save cost, increase productivity, then that is the economic impact which is you're bringing into the table.
Indika, you've given me a lot of thinking points. So I'd like to go into the three sectors in a little bit more depth, SMEs, education and agriculture. Talking of SMEs, like you said, there's so many business model related issues that people still have to figure out. But if we were to push them onto digital platforms, like for example what India has done, what would be the main constraints? Do you think it's a capital issue, people issue, or something else?
I think it's the main issue right now is the awareness. I don't think capital, yes, you need to invest a little bit in upfront, but nowadays you have a lot of tools which is you can take it as a service. That doesn't mean you have to put a lot of money in upfront, right? So it's awareness, which is they need to understand what is the value addition we are getting. And also there's a factor they're a little scared. If this fails, what happens? Like say sometimes some people will have a younger kids, then kids will take over and that digital adoption will happen, right? So that awareness, and also now say which is as a country, which is we are working on it right now. So probably before getting to the deeper question, I'll give you a bit of background. We have had certain strategies from a nationwide point of view on this digital aspect, but certain things didn't really work out well. But what we did, industry, government, we sat together, which is chaired by the president himself. We created a task force for digital economy. And with the help of the World Bank, we have already drafted the digital economy strategy for 2030 for the country, which is already on the approval process of the cabinet, parliament, and that legislation process has to happen. So documentation is completed. Now hopefully within next 2 months or so it will get the process approval will come in and will start to roll out. It clearly defines certain parameters what we are going to reach by 2030. That's how we are going to increase the contribution from 5% to we are looking at a target of $15 billion by 2030 to contribute from a digital economy point of view to the national economy. This transformation will definitely take a lead. So one question you asked specifically on the SME, one of the pillars, there are 6 pillars in that. One of the pillars is we are talking about industry and SME digitization. So now, as I said, 50% of the contribution coming from SME point of view. Now, first we are looking at creating awareness and also bringing the digital tools. So Federation of IT Industry in the Sri Lanka, that is FITIS, actually already started a program called digigo.lk. That program actually is, we have created something called a playbook. The playbook will have all the elements of what SME should know. And that will give some indication to the SMEs, as well as there are a series of workshops will happen. We go to the towns, educate them, and we talk about what benefits you get and how do you get it. Starting from basic ERP or accounting package, or even if you want to go SME, even paying from a QR code, right? Say a lot of foreigners coming in and they don't carry cash, but they can pay from the QR code, right? Especially Chinese and Indians, they use this QR code being one of the biggest tourist attractions for us. So this awareness is getting created and we want to fast track that adoption. So this is one of the pillars we are working through that 2030 digital economy plan.
Perfect. It's time to take a short break, but we'll soon be back to talk more about the digital economy.
Display your brand message on digital screens at prime locations. The largest digital advertising network in Sri Lanka. Emerging Media.
You're mobile, and so are we.
Gets me going.
Grab the Lite 87 app at the Apple App Store or Google Play now.
87.8 and 87.6 island-wide. Lite 87.
Welcome back to the show. We're talking about the digital economy with the strategic advisor and vice president of Huawei Technologies Lanka, Indika De Zoysa. You spoke of a lot of plans in store for SME on the journey towards 2030. Right now, from what you've experienced, are there any success stories of SMEs who have adopted digital platforms?
There are many. There can be thousands, right? But I'll take few or one or two unique ones, right? One lady actually in North Vaunia, in that area, she was making all these Palmyra products, state-of-the-art stuff, excellent. So she was selling in the village for like 50 rupees, 100 rupees, etc. We know in even Colombo, those cost like 1,500, 2,000 rupees, right? So she comes on and off for this BMICH sale, etc. But for her to come spend 3 days in Colombo doesn't make sense, right? I mean, obviously she get good sale, but with the digital adoption, which is she started selling online. Now she caters not only to Colombo, to New York, to whatever not.
Really?
So she earns dollars. She earns dollars. Wow. Right. Similar way, there's this lady who makes homemade ice cream. She has all these varaka to local flavors, which is now she's selling across the country. Digital platform took her to the world, right? Even the classic example, last year, when you're looking at from a YouTube point of view, the highest earner was that cookery thing Ape Amma. She earned $1 million. I'm not quite sure, medium size or little upper, company will make $1 million bottom line. But that took, she'd been taken to the world, and look at, she managed to make $1 million. So this is, I mean, there are many thousands of cases we can talk about, how the transformation has happened. Right, even you take global brands like Airbnb, this is how it started. Or Booking.com or Uber, you take it, even our own Pick Me, it's the same case. This is how it started. Now they have become billion-dollar companies. They're bigger than, when you're looking at all these IT companies, for say, is bigger than our economy right now.
Of course.
So that's how one of those companies, just imagine some one of those companies are born here, our economy, what is the impact it can be created. So that's the, say we have many thousands which is contributing right now, which is we want to scale it to the next level.
Oh, that's beautiful. Indika, thank you about that. I want to now move on to agriculture, because like you said, technology will take it not to the next level and beyond. Since we are having a lot of labor issues, cost issues, fertilizer issues, we are still struggling with the basic problems. So how is the adaptation going on right now, and how far away are we from the ideal picture?
Say adaptation is happening in patches. Certain larger corporates who manages this agriculture areas, adoption is happening. But we know in our country it's less than half acre plots, a lot of farmers using, and it's a more of a traditional way it's happening. But now there are structured programs has been taken by the government as well as the industry, how the digitization need to get adapted to these small time farmers. One thing we know, we have seen in many times of the news, so much of overgrown vegetables. We say sometimes you have additional tomatoes, farmers come and throw it to the road, and certain months you don't have tomatoes, say kilo is some big amount, right? It happens, and also the wastage of what you call fertilizer, all that happens. Now, if we have a proper mechanism of predicting, I mean, tools like AI will come into the play, obviously. What is the need for potatoes, tomatoes, I don't know, beans, whatever. Accordingly, you need to look at weather patterns. So we know when the rain is expected, the soil formulation, all that. Technology can definitely help you to make I mean, we know our ancestors has that great thinking or analytics in their own AI in their brain, which is they tell you what crop to be put in, they look at the soil and they know how it is. But again, with the generations are getting more change, and also the shortage of labor, etc. Technology will help you to do that transformation. Now, one great example of this case is New Zealand. When looking at it, they are primarily dairy is one of the biggest exports, right? But when you're looking at, they're talking about how digital has transformed. They're talking about $8 billion of exports on that, but digital has done the transformation. Everything even what cow eats to whatever not, the grass to milk content to everything is digitally managed. That is where the transformation has come into action, and how the value addition has come up, and that is where the productivity and you reduce wastage.
And talking about accessibility to that technology in terms of Sri Lankan farmers, how far away are we?
Actually, from say one basic thing is what we need is the connectivity. From our country point of view, we are like 90% covered with 4G, 3G, etc. I think that is decent. Now, which is then again similar to SMEs, awareness need to be created because they don't have much access to technology. Awareness need to be created, and also right tools has to be introduced to them. So as I said, like the tools are available, but how fast we can scale it to go to that half-acre farmer and get them to start using it as a more of a community, because this data has to be fed into the centrally, and there are many initiatives has happened because there are lot of success cases we have, and hopefully next 3 to 4 years we will have a larger variety, larger broad base will get digitized.
That's perfect. Thank you. Indika, you spoke of one more sector which was very interesting, education. We saw how the pandemic kind of really accelerated it. I don't know the proper picture right now, whether we have gone back to the old ways or whether we are still in a more blended learning approach. But looking at all the stakeholders of education across all levels, primary, secondary and maybe tertiary as well, how is digital adaptation happening in that segment?
Digital adaptation is happening, but in my personal view, it's not up to the speed we want it. But the good news is that, parallel to the digital economy strategy, one pillar in that is the jobs and skills, right? And with parallel to that, we have a subsection which is created by that as a digital adaptation. There's a policy is being made from the Ministry of Education point of view, but there are some changes has to happen from a policy point of view. So that is all in place right now. So there are two things. One is teaching technology. Other thing is using technology for teaching learning purpose. So here we need to make sure two communities is teachers are enabled, use technology and teach in the classroom. And second, we need to have accessibility and the devices, etc. So this problem or this challenge is getting addressed right now. Because we need to understand time to come that kids who are in school today, when they come out to the market, job they are going to do is not there today. And they have to solve a problem doesn't exist today. So that's a challenge the teachers has. How do you create a kid to do a job which it doesn't exist and solve a problem doesn't exist today? So that is what the 21st century skills requirement is all about. It's not about what is the degree you have, what certificates you have. You need to have the skill sets. If you just do a Google search and look at the statements of the global what they are saying, one common thing you'll find what they say is they are not looking for the college degree certificate anymore. They look for the skills. So how do you use or how do you train our future generation looking at the future skills requirement? Now, simple example, 6 months or 8 months back, we never knew about ChatGPT. Today, ChatGPT is a major thing. So one of the highest demanding jobs right now, what do you call prompt engineers? So you need to prompt ChatGPT to get the right answers. That means you need to ask the right questions. Now, can we produce them like overnight? No. So we need to create that, that's the statement I said, that job never existed. That problem never existed. So that's one example. So similar way, we need to do that transformation. So that digital education transformation, and also there's a reforms work which is happening in our education sector. Within next 3 to 4 months, all this will come to action. And we are industry also, as we are very much part of that entire equation. Together, we are driving to that direction. Then definitely our future generation will be ready to face the 21st century challenges what they have. And generally we call them as Gen Z, right? So which is, their expectations are different. Jobs what they will be available for them, right? So now we are talking about this big thing about the gig economy. That means you don't really be part of organization, you contribute to all this, right? Simple example what normally I take is, you take a company like Airbnb. They are the biggest hotel chain in the world. Yeah. How many rooms they have? None. So that's the world we are living in. Yes. What you have is app in your phone. So that's the world we are living in. So we need to make sure that future generations are ready to face the challenges. And otherwise our kids will be not able to access, or they will not have opportunities in the world. Yeah. And these kids should be able to work anywhere in the world with that skill sets.
Thank you. Indika, we've been talking about the digital economy from the perspective of SMEs, agriculture and education. I also want to talk to you about the adaptation of digital platforms by the general populace, the consumers, the customers. One example you already mentioned, the QR code. I mean, everyone had to adapt to that. But right now, where we are not pushed to do anything much, what is the scenario regarding the society and how we are inclined to go into the digital economy?
Okay, so I say even QR code, there are 6 million downloads. That means 6 million people used it. So that's fairly a larger population, like, of 25% or 30% of our population which is used it. Now, I'll relate to one more angle, like, from a government point of view. All of us take different services from the government. Your property taxes, to you get your ID card and a birth certificate, or you want to get some documentation done. So in real world today, at least we have to take 1 day leave, go to that place, stay in a queue, and maybe you get a time, but I don't think that will work in that time. But look at the time the person has to spend, energy, petrol, productivity, all that go on. So sometimes that work will take you 2 minutes,
Yes.
but you spend 1 or 2 days, right? So now digital will definitely help. There are many services which is available, like, as example, QR code is a lovely example, but you take your revenue license and certain applications you can take. Now passport has gone online.
Railway station, railway also
tickets has been there. So there are many of such things are coming in, right? So now just imagine all those services we are spending can go online. The biggest thing, when you go digital, you have audit trail. Everything is recorded. One thing, corruption will go out of the window. That's the biggest thing we bring into the table. So, and also additionally, you bring that people, you save a lot of time of people, you do everything online, people can't meddle with it, tamper with it, and your services will be on time. So as long as your documentation is clear, you will get your services done. So now digital can do a huge transformation, specifically on the government sector. Then in this digital economic strategy, that is also one of the biggest pillars what you're talking about, and which is very focused on that. Unless we do that transformation specifically on the government services point of view, that we will have a big burden. There's a big cost center coming in, and also obviously all of us know there's fairly large amount of corruption involved in it. So digital will be able to solve all that. So from a citizen point of view, we need to have that digital literacy. Unless you may have the best of the tool available in the world, unless you do know how to use it. In my view, I don't think that's a challenge. 6 million people download QR code. We have 8 million plus Facebook users in our country. That means our community knows how to use digital. And also, which we have, our newer generation in schools has access to digital, and they know how to play with it, and that generation know how to use it. Obviously, where the exposure is not there, the younger generation will be able to help the senior generation to use that. Because what will happen is, like in our case, we are digital migrants.
Yes.
To the digital world we migrated, but the kids are digitally born. So they will adapt it much faster than us. Right? So they are born with digital. So now this transformation has to happen. And obviously we need to have a system to educate the people who are not literate and make sure the services are given. I mean, you can't do 100% like overnight to digital, but gradual transformation happen. But as I said, by 2030 we have a good plan. Hopefully we can execute that. We'll be able to get into a larger transformation of the country, and how do we increase across, and definitely end of the day we can have that expected growth of economy can be achieved.
Thank you very much, Indika. It's been such a lovely discussion. We've been talking with the Strategic Advisor and Vice President of Huawei Technologies Lanka, Indika De Zoysa. Thank you very much for a delightful and insightful conversation.
Thank you for having me.
And to all our viewers, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, take care.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching and stay safe.